team's good bits, and I hide it in a secret place so they don't know where it is.
Secret.
Nice.
Now that that's not a publicly available video, hopefully nobody watches it.
What do they say about security through obscurity?
I think there was an old security tool we had where you could fool it by like renaming Chrome to like not Google Chrome, and it would fool it into not inspecting the browser. So they're always rock solid tools there.
One of my favorite personal security evasion stories that I always like to tell, because it was so ridiculous and I got in so much trouble for it, was I was in college, and this was like well before like Slack or like anything. It was like when people were still using IRC for chat, and I wanted to like IRC like with my friends, and so I noticed like one of the college servers had the admin had renamed IRC, like the IRC binary. He'd left it installed, but he renamed it to like IRC dot disabled or something like that, but left everything the same. And so I just ran that, and then like a day or two later my account got disabled, and I went to him and I was like, my account's disabled, what's going on? He's like, yeah, you were running the IRC binary. It's like, you left it on the system, what am I supposed to do? It's like, no, run it. Like it said disabled. I said, but it wasn't disabled. It was just renamed. That's not how that works. He was like, oh, well, all right, fine. I'll rename your account. Don't do that again. It's like, you're a jackass.
If you label the button "Do Not Touch,"
right? Exactly.
To get pressed.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, made me laugh. So what do we want to talk about this month? What's the hot Mac related topics regarding Salt?
And I don't know.
Damn it.
I don't know. Wes, I love it.
I mean, yeah, I was just like on vacation, so I'm like still. It takes me about like 3 weeks to get back into like full work mode after a vacation.
It's a long time. Some vacation, man.
Yeah, that's how I like it.
That's nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess the only really thing that I was thinking of is what the change that PR that Pedro has open for
which one?
Yeah, which one of the like dozens?
Right.
Wait for it.
Is it for swarm stuff or?
It changes basically so macOS and Windows can run Python 3.8 or higher due to the oh god, now I feel like I haven't used Python in months. Subprocess. It's not subprocess. It's, well, I guess so. The fork method for spawn.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I can't think of what it does either.
Are you talking about the spawning?
Yeah.
Spawning, what is it called? Spawning something?
During multiprocessing, sorry. The multiprocess changed from fork to spawn.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the things that we're doing crashes due to the fork method of multiprocessing, and this would fix that. Along with allowing, so the default in Python on macOS changed to spawn for multiprocessing at 3.8. So that basically broke Salt. If you try and run Salt on 3.8 or higher. So yes, that fixes that. And then that also allows us to go to 3.9.1, which would allow us to do a universal build of Salt. So it runs on Silly Macs and Intel. So basically that was a blocker for like a lot of all the fun stuff we can do on Mac OS now.
I mean, the only pushback I saw on that one was just basically if it's what I'm remembering, it was somebody wasn't a fan of the style of implementation. It was less about
Well, yeah, that's just code review funsies.
No, I know, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's any blockers into getting that merged in, right?
Yeah, he just needed some help with the tests, which I volunteered
that's
for,
right.
and Nate. Speaking of which, where is Shay?
Yeah, spawning platform. That's what it was. Speaking of writing tests, where's the guy I have write my tests?
Wayne.
Everybody needs one of those.
Yeah, Wayne, right?
Normally that's Shay for me. Write my test, good sir. But yeah, so TLDR on that one, I am going to try and work on that soon. So hopefully we can get that finished and merged in for the latest release, which is, do we know when that is?
So silicon will be in June. So we're in the RC phase already for aluminum. So I don't think we're gonna
lovely
aluminum for, cross the pond.
Yeah,
but
I'm not here.
I think that we've passed that, because I don't think that we'll have time to get this in for that, because we're already in RC1. We want to do an RC2 this week.
Makes sense. Actually, I think it would be great if this actually goes in to silicon, because Apple silicon and
right
salt having that merge, that would be lovely and super cool. Very meta.
There's that one. You guys can work on that for silicon. I think that's great. There's an issue that came in today in a PR that I actually would love for you guys to take a look at, because it's can't install salt on Apple Silicon Mac. And we have a PR open to support everything.
Can you link that in
look at this? Yep. Let me grab it.
Chat.
I looked at the PR briefly. It looks like it's mostly, the changes are mostly updating requirements. So I'm guessing it's just like certain requirements just don't like build or install on silicon based Macs.
It's libcrypto, and it's the check the homebrew when linking against libcrypto. So I just wanted you guys
I already fixed this.
So apparently we broke it somewhere.
Oh no, this is homebrew. Okay.
This is homebrew.
Yeah, I don't care about homebrew.
And so I was kind of like, do we want to only fix this on homebrew? Yeah.
Okay. So this is my change that apparently didn't work on homebrew. That's fun. Oh, interesting. I mean, it looks fine.
That's fine. I just wanted to bring it up so that you guys could see it, because I was like, oh, wait, this is really specific. I just want to make sure that it gets reviewed well, because we like it that you guys review stuff.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is, oh, okay, he's just modifying all of the Pi text.docs here. I mean, that should be fine. I don't use the homebrew build of salt, so if somebody does, that would be lovely to actually test that. But it looks fine.
I don't see anything that would break, but and I don't use it either, but
famous last words.
Right.
Wait, yeah.
The only thing I can see is maybe for requirements Darwin, he's got 1.14. Greater than or equal to 1 to 14.4. So it's just there's a difference between CFFI in the definition and requirements Darwin versus the static ones in the CI directories. I don't know if that matters. They should resolve to the same version. It's just one is exactly a version, one is greater than or equals to.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of the dependencies are statically defined. So I guess I don't know why they put a greater than.
What even is CFFI?
Foreign function interface, I think, for C. Is that what it is?
I don't know. I'm using my sweet Google skills. Yeah, no, that's what that looks like. C foreign function interface. Fascinating.
So this would be the part where if we had Mosen on this group, he would tell you all about
Oh, absolutely.
foreign function interfaces, how he's doing stuff in Rust, and yeah.
Mosen, the godfather of Salt on macOS.
So yeah, I guess that's. I mean, I don't know. I think for it looks like in that version they do have other greater than, so for that file, so it's probably fine. That might be just the live build file that I'm looking at there versus the testing and the package building.
All right, who's going to be the one that says he needs to update the tests?
We actually
Garrett,
have a
say you.
script that runs that will grab it and say needs test case. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, don't worry about that too much. I mean, I can put it on there now.
I mean, the amount of time that I spent trying to write a test case for all my changes in that RSAX 931 file. Jeez. Oh, hey, it's Shay. Mr. I'm not a robot.
Hi, I'm not a robot.
Oh, kind of looks like a robot. We were just talking about how bad Wes is at creating tests for his code.
That's because she writes all my tests.
Yep.
Ain't that right, buddy? Why learn how to write tests when you can get yourself a Shay? That's what I always say.
Pro tip there.
It's like I always say, I need my own wife.
Yeah.
To do laundry and do dishes and all that stuff I don't want to do.
Well, that
Just need one
escalated
of
quickly.
It could be a robot wife.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't we living in the Jetsons age?
Robot wife.
Darn
And
near
it doesn't mean
close.
it has to be a woman either. It could be a man. I don't care. It could be non-binary. I don't care.
Yeah.
Totally good.
The recording's going to stop any second now.
I'm actually recording. I guess I should, splice it.
Like, why
Does
was
anybody
there
actually
a
watch
jump
these?
cut in there? I don't think there's anything else that I can think of. I know that in the past I talked about wanting to get the Pi Objective-C into the versions report, and I never really dug into doing that, but not that it's super essential, but having it in there with the other frameworks would be nice.
That would be something that would be helpful in like bug reports too.
Seeing as
Just so you
it's
know.
yeah, it's a major dependency for a lot of the Mac stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, there was a recent PR Pedro put in adding something into a version report, into the version report. That might be a good
oh yeah,
good thing to look at, just as a
sure.
if you're looking to see like how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that's not just a list of libraries.
I mean, it might be.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
I just haven't,
The Salt project. I haven't looked at the main page since all of the acquisition Salt project stuff has been moved over.
I know it's got a new logo and everything.
I know. Boom.
Pretty documentation.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're trying. But you know, we moved everything to a new WordPress theme.
Mm.
And you know, WordPress doesn't let you just modify the CSS. You have to like go and override rules, break everything.
Oh,
So
fun.
mostly I've been breaking the website. That's mostly what I do with all my time.
Hey
Because
man,
I know how to
somebody's got to
modify
do it.
CSS, but I don't know how to do it in WordPress because they have their own way. And I'm like, thanks. That's fun. I got to learn WordPress. Yuck.
That is very fun. And funny enough, Shay and I actually have a little meeting with Naveen, who is like the product manager of Workspace ONE from VMware.
Chandy.
And we're gonna talk about Salt.
Oh yeah, because
All
you
that
know,
fun stuff can get integrated.
oh yeah, because they have Assault everywhere.
Yeah, I
initiative
got it.
going on. I keep getting pulled into meetings, and they're like, "So tell us about Salt," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." Here's the first thing: 10 minutes of salt. You know,
Rule
salt in
number
10
one,
minutes.
it's awesome. Rule number two, it's really awesome.
Did you guys see the article that Netflix had put out about their remote work platform
Yeah.
for creatives? That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
I thought that was really interesting. Did
Which
you
had
see
Salt
that?
in it. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Wait, they're
Let
not
me
using
grab it.
Chef? What?
I'll grab the link and throw it in the chat. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do they use Chef for other stuff?
I mean, yeah, Johnny, who is like the primary guy on like the platform team over there,
Yeah, for Max,
is
you mean?
is a big chef dude. I heard rumors that he was playing around with Salt, and which was funny because he gave me a bunch of shit for picking Salt back in the day. And now I'm just
Well,
like, look who's doing it now.
I mean, that's what's happening, right? Because having to compile your own stuff and do all that stuff now.
Oh, this is dope. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Obviously it doesn't work for Mac because Apple, but
Yeah.
for Windows or
I mean, Netflix is
know.
also notorious for writing blog posts and not actually doing anything. But I didn't say that out loud.
I mean, that's on video now, so you just sealed your fate there, buddy.
All sorts of shade.
Your
Like,
Netflix account is now canceled, Wes.
Exactly.
You're banned for life.
Their password sharing feature just targeted you.
Oh boy.
You're going to be under custodies.
Yeah. No, luckily I don't. I've been using my mom's Netflix account for like give or take the past like 6 years.
Are you gonna call these?
This explains a lot about US.
I just want to add in, since this is be recording, that Wes's statements by no means reflect the views of Square Inc.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Words are
He's
mine
going
and none of
rogue.
that my employer.
They're just Wes's words.
We want to call out the fact that on their blog they're using 4 spaces instead of 2.
Oh boy, here we go. Tabs versus spaces. Here we go.
Well, they are spaces. They're not. It's not tabbed. But their equivalent is 4 spaces for a tab. Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah, that
That's
is a lot in
hilarious.
YAML. That like really indents are in. Oh, anywho. I don't know. Do we have anything else?
Should
There's
we look
one
at
thing I was
you
gonna
guys'
mention.
board? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Sage.
I was just gonna say we could look at the boards, but go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things I wanted to point out to the Mac group, just in general, one of the efforts that we're going to start doing. Sorry, my cat is yelling at me. All right.
That's amazing.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
Come here.
Oh yes, please show Kitty.
Kitty.
Oh yeah, look at that
But
kitty.
she's mad at something. Look,
It's like,
Wow.
hey,
How
much is
I
American?
can hear you.
Look at those little mittens. Those
know,
little
that's so
snow
cute.
mittens.
So one of the things that we've been talking about for a while, but we're starting to really, we're going to start really pushing for is so one of Pedro's recent additions into Salt was the concept of what we're calling Salt extensions.
Ooh.
And so we're going to start moving stuff out of core Salt into its own like separate repositories. That way, like it's easier to kind of iterate on those things, and they're not tied to specific releases.
Is this
So-
similar to the oh now I definitely can't
Pop?
remember the yes. Is this similar to Pop or
I would say semi-related. This would be like a first. I think of it as like a first pass at doing that. So like once we
Okay,
get
cool.
stuff out of Salt into its own
Writing
repository,
system.
then we can start kind of rewriting things in Pop.
so it's more the modularization of that items
Exactly,
we're going
yeah.
to take. Yeah.
Yeah, that way we don't have everything under the sun under one project.
Yeah, sure.
Like if someone needs something, like if certain things like just go faster than others, and like, we don't necessarily want them tied to the Salt release, so we'll pull them out into their own project.
So what
So
would be an
how-
example?
So like one of the things that like our team internally is starting to do is support for like various VMware products, and so we're going to pull those out into their own repository. That way they work. But specific to this group, we could start pulling out some Mac specific modules. That way, like if there's a fix that needs to go in, it's not tied to a specific Salt release.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
just
there's-
something to be aware of.
There's probably a few of those.
how would
Just a
that
few.
work in terms of like updating those?
Right. So that's something we're still working out. But they would be separate projects. So right now, like what we've discussed is they would just be like pip installed or
Okay,
packaged installed or whatever.
gotcha.
But then like eventually, like if you, Wes, are responsible for like a specific package, you would be the one that decides, okay, this release is ready to go. This is the version of it.
So
Okay,
Wes
yeah.
has the power to dependency vulnerability everybody who uses Salt for Mac. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah, it's part of our larger effort to like push all of the blame onto Wes specifically.
Under the working group captains, I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily all the core foundation modules are like known for their vulnerabilities constantly. So yeah.
Just
some of it
Salt
is-
API and Salt SSE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just those. But some of it is also like we could experiment with different things that way and also iterate on them a little faster. So it's not hindered by what we're doing in the core of Salt, but it also can lighten the load of Salt too. So that if we start pulling stuff out, then we start also making it just more distributed, making it a little lighter. And that's kind of really, that's our intent, because we would rather be a distributed system, right? And we say we are, but we're kind of monolithic in that repo. And to tackle that and to see how it goes. So we are still in kind of the beginning stages, and most of the documentation lives in Pedro's head. So we're trying to pull that out. Yeah. And I think we're going to do like, he's going to kind of do like a brief. He's probably going to do it like an hour learning on kind of like what it is and just a brief overview. I need to get that scheduled, and that's going to be exposed to the community. That'll be just, a community event. So that'll give us a good overview. And then he's writing some notes, and so is Gareth, as they're kind of trying it out on some of these modules. That'll give us a good first pass at documentation too, so that we can kind of get that out there and start using it. Salt Cloud, I think, is also a good candidate to pull into the Salt extensions. So there's some other things too that we're looking at there. So
Will there be the ability to build out just those extensions? So, rather than compiling the entire salt project like we do now, can we just define that extension somewhere where it gets a different version for testing?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the general idea.
Yeah, because that would speed it up a lot.
yeah, we wanted to try to give a baseline, and with pop create, we can even do that at like a repo level. So it says like you've got to have a license file and you've got to have a README, and here's how we want you to fill it out. And here's like a baseline of kind of documentation, in general for a project. And here's sort of some basic tests, and maybe even have stuff like static code analysis that's built into that would just kind of come with it in that pop create. So we could kind of also give a baseline of like, just here's kind of the base of tests too, but you can pick and choose after that.
There's it's the same level with the salt create. Salt with the salt extension creation tool that Pedro has just started adding. It's very raw at the moment. Mostly works, take some tweaking, but you get the basic kind of framework for adding in a like modules and utils and tests and whatnot. So
do you have a link to that?
I do, yeah. Let me pop it in the chat. Like I said, it's very new, very raw at the moment, but it's a good.
Yeah, I'd be curious about like, are there any modules that have like similar code or code dependencies with other modules? Like,
yes. That's one of the other kind of wants and efforts, is like no module should really rely on like another module beyond what is considered core. So like the two that I always think of with core, there's the CMD module and then there's the file module. Those ones are considered like core, and there's some other ones in there too, but like those ones are like other modules use those modules for doing things, but like other pieces shouldn't rely on like non-core pieces, because then it just turns into a spaghetti code mess.
Makes sense. I like it.
Last time we were together, seems like that's been a while, we talked about ARM64 builds. And that is coming.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting on the Python.
Yeah, we need to go to 3.9.1, I believe, and then we can do that.
Walrus.
Well, I mean, Shay, then if you're so excited about it, buddy, then
No.
there's some tests that need to be written during certain pull requests.
You can just post your resume in these chats, Shay, and we'll take care of it.
We'll just start using your skill set at will.
He loves me, and you can't take that away.
Shay, if you feel like you're trapped and you need help, just stare at the camera and don't blink.
Man. I can't wait to see how many views we get on this when we post to YouTube.
It'll just be all the people that Wes has affected over his life. Be like, oh man, Wes made me write his tests too.
Welcome to the Salt Comedy Show.
AKA
follow us on TikTok. Yeah.
So going back, if I can go back to the extension.
Oh, now he wants to talk about real stuff. Okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking out loud because something that I've thought about in writing some of my own like execution modules for like quick and dirty things. A lot of times, like I'm literally just going into existing modules, namely like the brew module, and literally copy pasta from that and just changing some variables to like do something at the user level for something like VS Code extensions for users. It sounds like if whoever's working on or has the brainchild in their head of how this is working out, that perhaps there's a way to extend certain functionality of, in other modules without having to completely rewrite.
Start from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how something like that works, or if like similar to how you can, like in like another project like Monkey Report that has different modules broken out in repositories, if you can pull in just the custom things that you want, or even host your own, so that you can say, hey, I've got core salt, but I've also got some other repos that that maybe exist outside of the project that could be pulled in.
Yep. I mean, if you do pip, you can import functions and override them, like, and same way with salt, where you can override that namespace locally or modules and things.
Yeah.
I don't know how this extension thing is going to take form.
No, I mean, like I said, like we're still kind of fleshing out how it'll all fit together. But so I was thinking about that specifically yesterday too. What you were just describing, AP, and the fact that you're pip installing these extensions. If someone had written, like, say there's like a common utility or a common module, something common to like a bunch of them, then it's just another pip requirement that you make sure like you have installed once you have your module installed, and then it just kind of builds on top of it. So that would be one way to do it. But there's a couple different options that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've overrode module functions just by importing that function and then redefining it in the code. And
yeah,
sometimes you have to do that.
I mean, one of the nice things about this will be if you, like, say you write like a custom module, you then have the option to like throw it up on your GitHub page, or your like in PyPy somewhere, and say like, hey, use this, and then it doesn't necessarily have to get accepted into core salt, but other people could find use of it. So that's one of the benefits to going down this path, making it more
You think
modular.
that will salt get some sort of supermarket Ansible Galaxy, like that's never been something Salt's really had. Is that something that is in the roadmap as well then, since extensions will be since visibility will be important for reuse?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I guess the closest we have right now, and it's not exactly like a one-to-one comparison, but the closest we have would be like the salt formulas repo. But yeah, I could see us doing something. Sorry?
It's its own org, isn't it?
Right. But like, as far as like, this is community driven, this is like what the community is putting together. But yeah, I could see us doing something to kind of promote and make it easier to know like what other community driven modules are out there.
And it brings up
Yeah.
a point that we keep kind of going round and round about, that we have this in the salt repo, right? The extensions. It's its own repo,
Yeah.
but it's under salt stack org. And to create a new org with the rules that we now have to follow with VMware, we have to show that there is enough community driven support and commitment to it to make it its own org. So if this starts to become that, we can do that. That's something we can open it up to, but we have to show that that's being driven by the community and not us. And what that looks like, I'm not really sure. So that's where we'll probably come to Open Hour, and we'll come to some of these things and be like, so if this is what you guys want, you need to tell me, and I need to have that in like an email or something that's written. And then we can start taking that to the program office for open source and say, this is going to be community driven. We need to help them get started. But then we want to take it off in a community org, and we can do that. And that's not what we understand today, but we're starting to get that feeling from the talks that we're having, since it's so new, but we're not there yet. But if it goes that way, we'll make that happen.
So we need all of you to come up with 10 identities and pretend, create GitHub accounts, Twitter accounts, and just like really, really help us sell this.
So question,
So if
are you guys moving away from GitLab now then with the VMware acquisition? Are you back to GitHub?
Moving to GitLab from GitHub, you mean?
Well, you were moving towards GitLab, but is there been any change there because of VMware?
So VMware actually uses a similar model to what we were trying to go towards, that everything that was really for the community was in GitHub, and anything that was a little more private was really in GitLab or proprietary.
That's
and
nice.
we're still kind of doing that, although all of pop and item is there. And so then how do we decide if something is new and going into which one? And we do have an opportunity to be in one or the other, although I'm not sure that we're being forced to do that. It's more of just one option of many. Although if you guys have opinions about that, I'd love to know, because I actually have been given the almighty task to decide.
Oh, I mean, I'm fine with either. I don't have a preference. I just was curious.
Yeah. And some of the things that we get from GitLab would be difficult to do in GitHub, but there's some things in GitHub that we can't have in GitLab. And so I really like straddling both. And also with VMware, they own Pivotal, and we have access to Pivotal Tracker that would actually span both platforms in a single platform view to give you a project view. And that's actually my favorite project management tool. I'm familiar with it. I just haven't set up the webhooks just yet to go use it. So we even have something that we could use that, of course, there's a community view, and we can expose that and invite guests, so that, because they were originally open source as well, so they support that. So there's some things there that we're, even if we still straddle both, we can handle.
Nice.
On that note, I need to drop off a little early for another meeting that I'm late for. So
Is that
thank
meeting?
you all for the discussion.
Samesies.
Your cat's calling a meeting, emergency.
My cat is calling a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Meow.
Right, meow. Yeah.
Meow meow.
I should drop too. So I don't know if anybody has anything else for today, but
No, this was good. I do want to get you guys set up with a project charter. I think that you guys will be pretty simple, because that's sort of ongoing. I have one out there, and I actually started a draft of it locally. I should just share it with you guys. In fact, I may just do that. It just outlines like objectives, and then that way we can also take that MD file and put it into WordPress and say, so if you're interested in this, this is when we meet, this is who you get in contact with, this is where the calendar is, just some real simple information.
Wes or Shay, are you guys going to look at the tests for that spawning location, multi-processing PR? Is that the...
Yes, at some point.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. I'll get you a code-free state. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I have it somewhere for Silicon. I'll make sure you got it. So then you know when your date is too.
Woohoo.
And then you can work on it the day before.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe you know now.
All
All
right.
right, guys. It's been real.
Bye.
See you next time.
Later.